why is it important to find your true why? Okay, in step one, we have this amazing tool. It's the 7 layers of deep. Right now, I really want to kind of help you, or not help you, help me understand why is it important to go this deep with a why. Like someone says, I want to make passive income. Why? Why do you? And then we'll answer that with another why. And like, get me into the mindset of why this is important to do.
Yeah, I learned this from Dean Graziosi. I was at a seminar a long time ago, probably at least 10 years ago, probably. And Dean Graziosi was talking about going and figuring out the real reasons and the real motivators behind why we're doing stuff. You know, a lot of times you're like, hey, why do you want to invest in short-term rentals? I want to make more money.
Right.
That's not going to last, right? That's, I mean, that's the byproduct of why we want to do it. You want more money. Why do you want more money? Right. And it's like, is it because you want to fund, you know, an education? Is it you want to fund, you know, a certain lifestyle? Is it that you want to help your kids? Is it, do you want to donate to a certain favorite charity? And then we say, okay, well, why do you want to donate to that charity? And then you go you just keep asking why, 7 layers of why. So you can kind of come down to the real reason behind what you're really trying to do and trying to build. Because what happens is, and we talked about this before, motivation fades, you know, and when motivation fades and you can look in the mirror and say, you know, this is there's a deep underlying reason why I want something. And if I stay really surface, it's really easy for us to walk away from surface reasons. It's harder to walk away when you look in the mirror and say, you know, I'm funding this because, you know, I have a, you know, I want to make sure that my kids are going to be set up. Well, why do I want my kids set up? Well, because if anything happens, I want to be able to take time off, right? I lost my mom this year. And one of the reasons that I didn't know I had, and one of the benefits of having lifestyle financial freedom and being able to take time off whenever I wanted to and spend time with her for a 3-month period is now that is a part of my big reason why. My why can change. Your why, you know, the goalpost can move a little bit. And so one of the reasons why, and I was talking about this on stage at a conference I was just at, is saying, hey, listen, there's 2 things that became crystal clear during that experience this year. Is one, time is fleeting. You know, we have way less time than we think. And most of us have lost somebody close. And it's a sobering reminder how short life really is, how fragile life really is. But a lot of times we forget about it when enough time passes by, right? And we start to, you know, when the pain of the loss is at its peak, we remember it.
Right.
But then all of a sudden, as life starts to happen and everything else, we start to kind of forget about it.
Yeah.
Not that we forget about them, but as that pain starts to fade a little bit, we forget about how short life really is, how fragile life really is. And we start to say again, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll get to it someday. And so one, that was a massive, like that cemented that lesson back in my brain to say, hey, listen, life is short, right?
Yeah.
2, I think everybody needs to have a passive income vehicle. I didn't say everybody has to have short-term rentals. I said they have to figure out how to make money while they sleep, right? Build something that pays you so that you can take off whenever you want to take off. If you don't want to work for 3 months because you need to spend it with somebody who needs you, then be able to do that. That is now part of my why. It is not, I don't want, you know, a lot of this stuff because of the good times. I want it there for the bad times. I want it there when, you know, shit hits the fan and I have to make a decision of saying, what's the most important thing in my life? And so when you start to really go through the reasons why you do this, and because you're going to wake up so many days when you don't feel like doing it, you don't feel like putting in the work, you don't feel like you're moving fast enough. And you've got to be able to keep moving. How do I sign off every single show? I say, pick one thing that you can do today to build the life you don't want to take vacation from. Just one. You know, you don't have to run a marathon every day because there are going to be some days where you feel super motivated and you feel like getting after it, right? It's a great day to be alive. Let's get after it. Like I walked into the office today, you're like, man, it's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good one, man. So, and there's other days I walk in the office and you got your hood on and you're like, I'm like, bro, you still asleep?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
And those days you're like, hey, I just need to take one step ahead.
Yeah.
The other days we're like, man, we might run a little bit further down the road. And we all have that. That's how we're all built. But having a really solid reason why on those days that we don't feel like doing anything and we have it written down and it's right in front of us, it's really hard for us to look in the mirror and say, when we've really identified our top priorities, why we want to do something, it's really hard. that to say, no, that's not important. I don't want to do that today. But it is very easy to walk away from surface ideas. So that's why I think that stuff's important. It's really, you talk about, everybody's like, just show me the work, show me how to get the work done, how to do all this stuff. But we realize there's a lot of hard days ahead. Ooh. And there's a lot of days where you're not going to feel like doing anything. You're not going to feel like that this is the right path forward. And you have to say, listen, why am I doing this? And if you don't have a good reason, if you don't have a good answer to that question, you stop. We all do. Like you being like a general, like encompassing all of us, is we all will stop if we don't have a good answer to why the hell am I doing this?
Yeah.
Right?
I love it. All right. Talk to me about, is this something that just each individual person should do? Or is this, if you're in a couple, you're in a marriage, should you and your wife sit down and do this together? Or is this, no, you each separate and you come up with your own?
Both. And you absolutely, you've got a significant other. You're making big life decisions together. You guys should probably be pretty aligned, but but your whys may be a little bit different, and it's good to do it separately, and it's good to compare the two and make sure that we're still like running down that same road, and we're running down parallel, and we're not like both on a whole different wavelength, right? And
of
so
course.
you have to, but it is more of an individual exercise, and then you're gonna, husbands, wives, you're gonna merge and say, hey, listen, okay, now let's look at each other's together. Let's talk about it together. Let's make sure that the priorities are set as our family starts to grow and progress and everything else, and then we're all in alignment.
I love it. Okay, how many times should someone do this? Is this every beginning of the year resolution type thing?
You and I are going to start talking a lot about, because it's time of year, about New Year's resolutions, everything else. I think they're a bunch of bullshit. I don't like them. I don't like setting them. But it's a natural time where people reflect. I just don't like them because people give up on them statistically a month in, right?
Well, you don't go deep enough on your why, dude. You don't go deep enough.
So it's not that I don't like business planning, and we do it around here. We do it personally, everything else. But I don't necessarily set like a only time I think about this stuff is around January 1st, right? This is something you are constantly thinking about. It's not just a once a year. I would say minimum once a quarter, you're reviewing this kind of stuff. The goalpost moves based on your life experiences. This year, it was I hadn't, I've lost grandparents and stuff. I have never lost somebody like as close as my mom this year. And that now is a big part of my why, so that I can say, hey, listen, this is, I want to make sure that I continue to stay in the position to take whatever time I need, have whatever bills I need to be paid. When you're fighting a battle, when it has to do with medical battles, and and the cost of medicine and the cost of making decisions on this drug might work or this treatment might work, but it's not covered by insurance. And there were times where my mom's like, we can't afford it. I'm like, yeah, we can't afford it, Mom. Like we can afford it. And so you don't want to be in those positions to make it. So yes, the goalpost moves. Should we review that on a regular basis? Absolutely. My why before kids was way different than my why after kids. My why now as the kids are growing up is different than it was when they were young, right? And so I think you do this on a regular basis and think about this. And it's not, I was the last person that thought that this stuff was important until I actually did it. I resisted it. I was not the guy that was like, I'm like, hey, listen, just tell me the direction and I'll go. Because, by nature, I feel like I'm a fairly disciplined person. I'm willing to challenge myself. I'm willing to do the things that I don't really feel like doing, and felt like that. At least that's how I identified, with myself. But then when I started doing this, man, you want to talk about the drive just getting that much more fierce and that much more like intense. And those things that now that we wake up and like I make, I am now. I make fun of these guys that are online. I retired at 30. I retired at 20. Why the hell are you still making TikTok videos? Why the hell are you running a business? You're not retired, right? You've never heard me say I'm retired. I am financially independent. That's not retired. I work every damn day. And I think it's so funny that the sometimes that goalpost of these, these people that are so-called retired, you didn't retire. You quit one job and started doing something else. And in real estate investing, we hear the word retired a lot. They're not really retired. They can't stop and just be done,
Yeah.
right? Or
Right.
and if they can, that's being financially independent. That means, hey, listen, I could do that if I wanted, but I choose to work every day still. And so I can't even remember why I was going to bring that up, but I had a point behind that. And if I think of it, I'll tell you back again. There was a reason why I brought that up, and then I went off.
Watch this. I'm going to transition real easy. We go right into goals.
All right, you go right into
it's
something
second
else here.
bullet point here. Okay.